So, okay, so you already answered this question for me. So there wasn't anything at all really you ever wanted to do after like sixth grade. You were just kind of like, oh, I want to teach high school. Or
No, that's correct. Probably if I had to do it over again, maybe if I had to do it over again, if I was going to do some other profession,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do architecture.
Yeah.
If somebody waved an evil wand and I had never gone to college and I had to find a living, I would probably be a carpenter. But the only thing I consciously remember wanting to be with any kind of maturity was a teacher.
All right. So have you had any experiences in your teaching career that have changed like how you view your life in general, or
Yeah.
yeah? Cool.
Um, Actually, let me turn that around.
Mm-hmm.
It's more common that my life experiences change my teaching. Um,
So
well, the experience of having kids has made me appreciate a wider range of student than I think I used to. I used to be, and to some extent still am, a teacher who, I used to be a teacher who connected more with just the strongest, brightest, hardworking students and didn't really appreciate kids at the, let's say, the other end of the spectrum. Um, my oldest child is a really, really smart guy, math, chemistry, math science type guy. And I think when I just had the two older kids, that was the student I was best with. Um, Having more kids, teaching at Loyola, pushed me to appreciate a wider diversity of students than I think I used to. And so I'm better at that now than I used to be. Um, Definitely another life experience that affected like my geometry teaching. You know, I said I would be a carpenter if I had to. Rehabbing my house, I was continually amazed at how much carpentry is really just applied mathematics.
yeah.
I was constantly doing trigonometry and figuring parallel lines and things like that while I was doing carpentry. What about the reverse? What about events as a teacher that affected my life? Um, One of my rules of living is that it's never a bad idea to reconnect with an old friend. I've Because we've lived in so many different. My wife and I and family have lived in so many different places as we got older. We made and lost a lot of friends, and so reacquainting with those old friends has always been a positive experience. One of the neat things that happens to you as a teacher is you know a lot of people. I mean,
Right.
when you teach in the city of St. Louis for 20 whatever years it's been now, 21 years I guess I've been teaching in St. Louis, there are a lot of people you know. You go to a
Right.
grocery store, you walk to a mall, you're at a baseball game, there's a former student there.
Right.
And you're continually bumping into them, and it's always a good experience. Even kids who didn't do as well in the course as they like to, or didn't get along with me as well as they like to, I can always have a pleasant conversation reacquainting myself with them. And that's probably the neatest experience as a teacher, is to see former students of yours grown up. You get to see the impact of what you did, even though, you know, obviously ninth grade algebra has a pretty small effect on what you're like when you're 35 years old, but
I
there's
completely disagree.
still okay. But there's still a little piece of me
Yeah.
that is there, and it's neat to see.
Right. I kind of see that a lot with my grandpa, because
Sure.
like
Oh yeah.
if anybody
Oh, yeah.
anybody is like, oh hey, you're McCabe's, that Marty McCabe's grandson. I'm like, yeah, don't even know how I know you, but okay, sure.
Right. My kids say they hate going places with me because there's always going to be somebody there that stops to talk.
Yeah.
And I always love it.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just on a bus on the way home from a swim meet a couple weeks ago. That was out in East Jesus Nowhere in St. Charles, and the Mr. Panelia was reading off off the names for the list, and the bus driver plays poker with my grandpa every Saturday. It's like, come on now. Everybody knows him.
Everybody does it.
Anyway, so, cool. What do you find to be the most difficult part of teaching? Like, I don't know,
Grading
either.
papers.
Alright. I will accept that as an answer if you would
No,
like.
no. The nitty gritty mundane detail that is the worst for me is a cheating situation.
Yeah.
Cheating situations are the situations where I get sick to my stomach and lose sleep because, for lots of different reasons. I feel like the kid has violated a contract between himself and me, and I probably take it personally sometimes because he's broken that trust. I, I, I find cheating to be anti-learning. It's an emphasis just on product with no effort, grade with no work, grade with no learning, and so cheating is anti-learning, and that's a violation of what I do for a living. So cheating is probably the worst part of being a teacher for me.
Alright.
Dealing with cheating, I should
Right.
say.
I was thinking there's something I wanted to say while you were saying that, or while you were talking, but I can't remember what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
Anyway, so, no, that's fine. And then the reverse side of that, what do you find to be the most enjoyable?
I think I have an answer, but it's not a big deal, so I'm wondering if there's a grander answer I could give. Like I should say graduation,
Oh, yeah.
or getting invited to a student's wedding, or something. But really and truly, I had a conversation with a colleague at Priory when I was teaching there, and he used to talk about, he was talking about the fact that sometimes the conversation in the faculty room could be really negative and cynical. And my response to that was, I try to spend as little time in the faculty room as I can. I would really much rather be out in the school where the students are. And now, that's not to say I love conversations with my colleagues, conversations over lunch, conversations in the office,
Right.
conversations riding bikes, whatever, are wonderful times. But what I'll say to answer your question is the thing that I relish most about teaching is walking through the halls and seeing students, walking through the halls and saying hi, short little snippets of conversation. I enjoy the company of the students I teach, and so being out in the hallways where the students are, I always feel awkward when a student comes to the math office door and knocks on the door, as if he has no right to be in there unless he's granted permission. And I want to say, you know what, it's your math office, it's your school, you should move all around it as much as you like. And they're the reason we're here, and I try to make an effort to
Right.
say hi, greet them cheerfully, chat a little bit, something, because that's what most teachers love about their job is the students.